Welcome to the Practical Business English Lab with me, Caroline. I am very happy that you're here watching this video. Let me tell you a little bit about this channel if it's your first time. On this channel, we provide phrases that can help you improve your business English skills. So if you want to achieve that goal, stick around. Okay, in our last video, we talked about the phrasal verbs that you can use before a meeting. And in today's lesson, we are going to talk about the phrasal verbs that you can use when starting a meeting. Are you ready to get started with me? Let's start. All right, so let's get started with today's phrasal verbs for starting a meeting. The first one is kick off. This is probably the most common way to say start a meeting or an event in a natural way. Listen to these examples. Let's kick off. Shall we kick off? I'd like to kick off with introductions. Now, here is what you need to know. You can say kick off by itself. It's a complete sentence. But you could also say kick off with plus something else. Let's see some examples. Let's kick off. This is complete. I could also say, let's kick off with the agenda. So here I am adding what we are starting with. Moving on to our next phrasal verb of the day, which is to get started. This is super common, and you'll hear it both in formal and informal settings. Let's see some examples. Let's get started. We should get started. Are we ready to get started? Get started and kick off are very similar, but there is a small difference. Kick off feels a bit more energetic, like let's go. Get started is a little softer and more neutral. Remember, both are correct. Both are professional. You can't go wrong with either of the two. But just remember, there are some common mistakes that students make with these phrasal verbs. I will give an example sentence with get started. We can say, let's get started with the agenda. But we can't say, let's get started it. You need with and what you're starting with. So we commonly use with and on. We could say, let's get started on the project. Let's get started with introductions. And our third phrasal verb is to run through. Now, this one's a little different. Why? Because run through just doesn't mean start. It means start by reviewing something quickly. So let's see some example sentences and probably you'll identify the difference. Let's kick off, just starting, but let's run through the agenda means start plus review the agenda. So starting and reviewing the agenda. See, run through always needs something after it. You run through something. So you can't just say, let's run through. No, doesn't make sense. You gotta say something like, I will run through the main points. Can you run through the numbers quickly? Let me run through what we discussed last week. And let me just give you the pattern. Run through plus something. You always need to say what. Okay? Okay, let's look at our last phrasal verb, which is to go over. This is where students often get confused because run through and go over seem similar. But there is a difference. Run through means to review something quickly. But to go over means to review something in details, slower and more carefully. Let's see some examples. I will run through the report. 2 minutes, just the highlights. I will go over the report 10 minutes, every detail. Make sense? Great. Let's see more examples with go over. Let's go over the budget carefully. I need to go over these numbers with you. Can we go over the contract before we sign? So the pattern is the same as run through. Go over plus something. You always need to say what. And that's it for our phrasal verbs today. Thank you so much. Well done. Now that you've learned the phrasal verbs that you can use when starting a meeting, why not start using them in your next meeting? Now, I'm going to give you a small challenge, and that is to practice using these phrasal verbs every day for 1 week. Start today, start now after this video. Just use one each day. If you can, use all of them every day. If you cannot, just one a day will make a difference. Write something about you using these phrasal verbs. Imagine you're giving a presentation, and you could say something like, before we kick off, let me just say, or let's kick off. Just write something that you can relate to. That way, it's going to be easy for you to put this into practice. All right, I hope you've enjoyed the video today. Thank you so much for watching. And if you've liked it, remember to like and subscribe. Also, share it with your friends and colleagues. Maybe they'll find it just as useful as you do. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. In our next video, we will talk about phrasal verbs for discussing and managing meetings. Thank you so much and goodbye.